In this video I will go over all of the new brushes in Procreate 5.4 beta. They're made by Webster. The brush sets are named after their analog counterparts. In this video I'm going to cover the brush sets, pencils, pens and inks. All of the brushes are named after places, plants or animals in Tasmania, around Hobart, the headquarters of Savage Interactive, the producers of Procreate and Procreate Dreams. I'm going to explore these new brush sets by drawing the first name in a brush set. It's almost like a wildlife documentary. Echidna. In pencils the first name is echidna. Echidnas are found from the highlands to the deserts and forests throughout Australia, including Tasmania, as well as in Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. They're odd-looking creatures, like they just walked out of Fantastic Beasts. This set of pencil brushes are gradually built up, starting out with echidna. This is a very soft pencil and great for starting out your rough sketch. When you draw with the side of your Apple Pencil, you will get a soft, gradual tone. Waratah. The Waratah brush is named after a native Australian plant. The pencil has a little bit more grit and the strokes you make are a bit more dense. Bruny. Bruny is an island near Hobart. This pencil has a little bit more of a grit and you can use it to make more definite strokes. This pencil set you really cannot compare to the analog equivalent, where you go from hard pencils with an H to softer pencils with a B. The B pencils have more grit and you have darker tones. With these pencils, Webster has reversed it. You start out with pencils that are softer but less defined, to pencils that are harder with more definition. Dusky. Dusky is probably named after the Tasmanian dusky marsupial mouse. The pencil has a harder point and more grit. Pelion. Pelion is the highest mountain in Tasmania. This pencil has a harder and more definite point, with a wider and darker grid. Lofty. This pencil is probably named after Mount Lofty near Adelaide. This pencil has a harder and more definite point, with a wider and darker grid. Huntsman. The huntsman is the largest Australian spider. It's known as the social huntsman, as it can live in colonies up to 300. This pencil has a harder and more definite point with a wider and darker grid. Swansea. Swansea is the last brush in the pencil brush set. Swansea is a town in the heart of Tasmania's east coast, on the northwest shore of Great Oyster Bay and overlooking Freycinet National Park. The Swansea pencil has the hardest and definite point and the most and widest grid of this brush set. Pens. The pens brush set starts off with the name Kestrel, named after the Australian kestrel. The Nankeen kestrel is a small raptor native to New Guinea and Australia. For testing the pens I'm going to ink the Nankeen kestrel. Kestrel. This pen feels like a dip pen with a small taper. The ink has a bit of a grit. It's great for sketching and laying down the basic drawing. Alpine. Alpine is probably named after the Alpine region in the middle of Tasmania. The Alpine pen brush has a lot of grit, especially when you use the side of your Apple Pencil. Liffey. Liffey is a rural town. It's located near the Liffey River in the central region of Tasmania. The Liffey pen is a smooth tapered pen. Minke. Minke is a baleen whale that swims around the coast of Tasmania. It is a pen with a lot of grit and not much of a taper. When you make the brush larger, you will get a thicker grit. It looks a bit like a drippy pen or a dry brush. Bronzewing. Bronzewing, or the common bronzewing, is a pigeon-like bird that lives in Tasmania. It's a flat pen with some scattered inks inside, but only when you ink it with no pressure. When you add pressure to the pen, then it fully inks, with some jagged edges. Belrive. Belrive is a suburb of the city of Clarence and part of the Greater Hobart region in Tasmania. The pen has a vertical calligraphic side. The edges are slightly scattered, and you can ink with thick and thin because it has a tapered brush. Sanderling. A sanderling is a small shorebird that regularly visits the Tasmanian coast. You might have seen them on your local beach. They walk very fast along the waterline. As for the pen, it's a variation on the Belrive pen. The edges are slightly scattered, and you can ink with thick and thin because it is a round tapered brush. Inveresk. The last pen in the pen brush set is the Inveresk, named after the place where the Queen Victoria Museum and University of Tasmania are situated. The pen has a real grit, especially when you ink with the tilt of your Apple Pencil. Inks. The ink brush set starts with the name Shearwater. Shearwater is a region in Tasmania, but also a seabird. For this brush set, I'm going to draw the Shearwater bird. Shearwater. This tapered brush has a bit of transparency and pulls the ink from the canvas. It has a bit of a grit and has some scattered edges. Swift. This brush is named after the swift parrot that breeds in Tasmania. They are endangered. The brush is a rough brush with a scattered brush stroke. It scatters more when you ink quickly. Wapping. Wapping is an area in Hobart, historically known as the original commercial and working class district near the docks. The brush is similar to the Swift brush, but with more ragged edges. The brush has a bit of transparency, but you can build it up by applying the inks again. It also pulls the colors a little bit. Nightjar. The nightjar is an owl that lives in Tasmania. It's a very small bird. This is the most scattered ink brush in the set. When you add pressure to your Apple Pencils, you will get a splash effect. You can also use your fingers to add random splashes. Silvereye. The silvereye is a small bird that lives in Tasmania. This ink brush is in the same vein as the other scattered brushes, with a scattering in the middle and the outer parts of the brush. It is a tapered brush. When you apply more pressure, the inks become darker. Lichen. Lichen is named after fungus and mosses in Tasmania. This ink brush has multiple strokes and is tapered. It's slightly transparent, and when you enlarge the brush, the ends show a multi-stroke end. It is great for covering big areas. Whistler. The name Whistler in Tasmania refers to the golden whistler and olive whistler, two distinct bird species found in the region. This ink brush is a tapered brush with calligraphic properties. It has some transparency and has a small scatter around the edges. Agrarian. Agrarian is probably named after the agrarian kitchen in New Norfolk. This is an ink wash brush, great for applying washes to your ink drawings. It acts like a watercolor brush. In the next video I will cover the next 3 brush sets: charcoals, pastels and oils. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you like it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit that notification bell, because each time I upload a new video, you get a notification. Drawing is fun and practice makes perfect. See you next time. Doodles!